Welcome, everyone, to our August Airflow Monthly Town Hall. Really excited for our content for you today. We're going to start off, as always, with arrivals and introductions. Then we're going to jump into our monthly project update, which will be given this month by Amog. Thank you, Amog. And then we're going to jump into our PR highlights from the month with Jason Whaley, who I'll share a video recording of because it's a bit late for him to be joining this call, and Yarek as well. And then we're going to get a project spotlight on AIP 86 with Dennis and Ramit. Then we'll go into our community spotlight where I'll chat a little bit about Airflow Summit, which is coming up so quickly. And then we'll get you all out of here. So a couple things if you're new to Town Hall, pay attention to this slide. If you're not, you can tune me out for about 1 minute here. We don't make any decisions on these calls. Anything discussed here should be brought over to the dev list to discuss further. This is open source, open to everyone, and I always record these calls and share them on the Apache Airflow YouTube, to the dev list, and also in the Town Hall channel in Airflow Slack. I get a lot of questions about the recording, even when I say this every time. So you can always go to the Apache Airflow YouTube and it's right there every time, I promise. All right. So with that, we'll jump into our first presentation on our monthly Airflow project update.
Yeah, you can run the slides, Brianna. I'll just tag along. Yeah, so hi everyone. I'll be providing the monthly project update for Airflow this month. Yeah, I'm the latest addition to the PMC, so yeah, that kind of makes me qualified for this. So I'll run this. So yeah, let's go to the next. Yeah, we had a busy month of releases. We had a lot of them and a lot of dramatic ones as well. So yeah, we already had two batches of providers, which is run by Alad, one on the 17th and the other on the 29th of July. Then yeah, the Airflow 3.0.3 and the Task SDK 1.0.3 was a dramatic one. This took 6 release candidates for a patch level release, which has not happened, I think, in a very long time. Uh, so yeah, that's it. Finally went out the window, and yeah, we were very glad to get it out. The next one was Helm chart 1.18.0. This was mainly with some improvements around. Helm chart 1.17 released the first Helm chart supported version with Airflow 3.0, and this one made some enhancements onto that one to make it more usable. And as we speak, Airflow 3.0.4 and Task SDK 1.0.4 is already, I think we have already finalized votes on that one. It went into RC2, and yeah, this will be released in a couple of hours. So that's that. And the latest batch of providers run by Elad again is live. It was live yesterday. So yeah, that is the 7th August batch of providers. That's under voting. Yeah, next slide. Yeah, a lot of fun activity happening uh, around the project in the last, I would say, 1 month. So yeah, we had I think last month in the town hall when Kakshil presented, we gave an update regarding this support for Python 3.9, which we were dropping. So that finally happened, and just in time for the next town hall, 3.13 support is already here. And this was a big one. And yeah, I don't want to steal limelight from Yarek here. I think he'll be presenting on that later. And AIP 67 is now, it's a simplified AIP for multi-team Airflow deployments, considering the changes we made in AIP 72. And this was mainly simplified to have less operational overhead for managing multi-team for separate execution environments, which is really important. Following that, MyPy version was bumped to 1.16.1. This was again a big effort, which was mainly led by Pawan in multiple parts. He hit the task SDK first, went to the core, and came to the providers finally. So this will provide us with better type checking and static checks for our code base. And following that, the Task SDK integration framework, we introduced it in the repo. This was, yeah, worked by me, and we had some help from members on this. The reason for this was, yeah, we have had in all the past releases, we have had some issues on the task execution interface between the Task SDK and Airflow core. And the issues that we have mainly had is it was compatibility issues. So nothing was testing this bridge between the two distributions. So we released a new integration framework that particularly tests uh, this particular bridge and tries to identify any critical failures well in advance so that we don't have to deal with surprises during the release. So this has already been merged into main. And the last one, Python standalone images as base images. This was it was a nice improvement, and mainly it is an improvement in the area of the Docker official Python images that we were using as base for Airflow CI and production images. And yeah, we assumed it was official, and until we realized it was not really official image, and these were it was mainly maintained by a very small a group of people or a small community with obviously slower security updates and the version releases, Python version releases. So yeah, the alternate was to switching to the Python standalone images, which is a much faster and more complete Python installation that we could use here. This is again, it is backed by Astral, which is
Just, just one small thing. We are building it from sources now. It's not Python standalone images. We're building from sources, and the production image is not yet still fully converted. We're still working on that. But CI image is running for a long time, and we just have to merge
yeah,
one PR. Yeah.
sounds good. Yeah, then let's go to the next one. Yeah, this then we led a lot of nice community initiatives this month. I think this has been working out as a very nice pattern where we introduce a major change and all the ripple effects of that change or the change itself are driven entirely by the community, mainly guided by one member or multiple members, but the entire effort behind it is backed by the community. So the first and the second item here, which was MyPy warning cleanup across the code base and the unreachable code removal, was a ripple effect or after effect of the MyPy 1.16.1 bump. And this was mainly led by Pawan, and we had a lot of new contributors contributing across the code base, and there were there was a flood of pull requests coming in, which was very nice to see and review. So this has been a pattern which has been working out really nice. So we have an ongoing such initiative for UI and API filtering. So this is mainly to uh, add the ability to filter the APIs and the UI for various endpoints with various filters that we already supported in Airflow 2. Now we have to bring that support back in Airflow 3 with the new uh, fast API based APIs. So a lot of these items have already been assigned, but there are a lot more which are still to be assigned. So in case you're interested in contributing to an area that will actually matter, yeah, find this issue over email and please, yeah, help in completing it. And right, we also had some nice discussions this month. The first one was regarding the version specifiers for Airflow Pi project, and this was again a bit of drama because UV updated the latest version a few weeks ago, and it just decided unilaterally that we will remove the tilde equal to specifier, and this caused not just Airflow, but I believe a lot of other projects over the internet that use UV breaking left and right. But we had a good discussion regarding this, and we came to a conclusion that we'll be using the greater than equal to instead without upper bound specifier, as somebody mentioned rightly. So that was a good discussion, and another community contributor brought up a nice discussion regarding the varieties of ways we are doing test assertion. So in Airflow code base, we have unit test based assertions like the mock dot assert call once with versus the regular asserts or the plain asserts that we use in a PyTest style. So again, a nice discussion on some best practices that we should follow. And I think a lazy consensus is yet here. We're just still discussing. And the other, again, dramatic one was a few days ago, or maybe a week ago, Bitnami, which is now owned by VMC Broadcom, they essentially announced that they essentially announced that they're stopping to update the open source charts, and they're moving them from free tier to subscription based model. So in order to be able to support such images, you will have to buy a subscription from them to get access to these security hardened versions. So that made us rethink whether we even need to keep it in the first place in our repo and uh, provide it as a whole complete thing when we can just provide what Airflow is supposed to provide, which is Airflow, and anything in addition uh, should be installed by the consumer as an additional layer. So we did that, and the last one was merging the cherry pick PRs to V30 test, some best practices around it, because when we were cutting 3.0.4, we sort of ran into a little bit of chaos because of missing PRs here and there, and we came to a conclusion that if a maintainer who merges that PR can cherry pick it easily, he should and merge them. If not, please request the PR contributor to do it and basically get it merged. Right, so the last slide, the next one. What's next? So Airflow 3.0.4, I haven't checked my email just now, but I think it will be released very soon. So ongoing should become released. And we have the Airflow 3.1, which is coming up sometime in September. We are targeting second week here, around 15th. So if you have any features that you want to put in or that you want to see in 3.1, now's the time to create a discussion or create a pull request and get it merged in time so that you can see it as part of 3.1. And we also have a new AIP 92, which is brewing up. This is mainly to isolate the, yeah, thanks Ankit. So yeah, we just got 3.0.4. Yeah, we have a new AIP brewing up, which is to isolate the tag passing logic outside of core and move it closer to the execution side. So this one has not started voting officially, but there are some discussions going on. So in case you're interested, please feel free to collaborate. And the last one is, I think, again, led by Yarek and a couple of others, which is removing the developer dependencies from PyPy constraints. So Yarek, if you would like to uh, chime in on this one.
Yeah, just we will just get less dependencies, especially those for PyTest and MyPy, etc. They will not be included in the production targeted constraints that people should use for installing Airflow. Just to gives a little bit more freedom for people to get their versions of the test software. A little bit small risk, but manageable.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, that was about the update for this month. I'm almost done. Yeah, in case you have some questions, I can take it on chat.
So while you are speaking, the slides are already outdated, and after the end of the call, 304 is not finally released then.
Yep.
Just missed it.
We are living at the edge.
Yeah, we're living on the edge.
I love it. Okay, are
It's
we?
released as of now. It's released as of now.
Love it. Wow, right on the call live. It's like we planned it. Okay, are we ready to move on to our next slide, or are we, Mog, are we good? Okay, great. So any questions for Mog, just go ahead and drop them in the chat. And next we're gonna hear from Jason, who is our PR of the month winner this month. So congratulations to you. And we'll go ahead and let you present that PR now.
Okay, thanks. Let me share my screen. Okay, sorry. Let me. Okay, so can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so hi everyone. This is first time to meet everyone online. So, okay, this PR is about resolving the out of memory issue when reading large test log in web server. Though the web server is renamed to API server in the Airflow 3, but no matter which version of Airflow, 2 or 3, we will still face this problem. And okay, so we have a test instant log UI, which is an important feature for Airflow for provide the observability to show the how the test instant how the task doing. So under the API server, which is using a file task handler to read from different log source. But when the log volume increase, the API servers will out of memory. And this PR will address this issue. Then besides, there are quite a few GitHub issue is about the out of memory issue that introduce some instability or cause some API server get crash. And there are even some user DM me for to say that this is a top one painkiller in their on-call. Like when every time they want to view through the test instant log, the API server crash and the UI crash. So yes, it's a desperate situation. And before this PR, what Airflow implement is for each log source, it will read as a list of log or list of something. Then we will concatenate all the log source into a very large list, and which will introduce the out of memory issue. So not to mention the last part, which is sorting, which will sort all the log source with a very large list, and which is a root cause for causing the out of memory. So this is what I propose. I think there are two key points for this pull request. So the first one is for each log source, instead of reading the whole log at once explicitly, we can read the log as the stream, which also is generated in Python syntax. And the second point is using a k-way merge, just like using a priority queue or using a priority queue. So the key concept is we will maintain a table which will record the front of each log source. And for each round, we will take the front of each log source into a priority queue, which is also a heap in Python. Then we will set a threshold and we call it chunk size. So when the chunk size reach a limit, we will flush half of the logs in the heap to log reader, so which will make the end-to-end reading process more memory efficient. So here's my benchmark before and after the pull request. So the blue one is before refactor and the orange one is after. And the left one is less than 1 megabyte for the test instant log. And the rightest one is about 500 megabyte for the test instant log. And we can see that even for 500 megabytes test instant log, we use as small as memory usage for small task log. So I think it is a significant improvement because the main key point is we are using heap and we have set the chunk size at the threshold. So the space complexity will come from sorting, which is big O notation unlock and to big O notation chunk size, so we can make our memory usage as constant. So, but there's still some future work, like for this architecture is the Airflow core, but for each provider, we haven't implement the stream-based reading method, right? For now, and the Airflow core will support the stream-based read. Start from 3.0.4 we just released. Yes, we just released right now. So, but we have to implement the compatible interface for before 3.0.4. And there are quite a few of providers that still need to implement the stream-based read interface. So yes, this is the future work. So I also want to special thanks like Yarik, Ash, and Wei Li, and many other people that have reviewed this PR before, because this PR take about half of the year to get merged, and this PR have been rewritten twice. So yes, very appreciate for everyone who have helped review this pull request. So yes, that's it. So any question?
Thank you so much, Jason. And if anyone has questions for this month's PR of the Month winner, please drop them in the chat. Really well done. Thanks for sharing that. Now we have a video submission actually for our next PR highlight. It was a bit late for Wei Li to present this live, so he did make us a nice video presenting his PR of the month. And if you all can just confirm that you can hear this at the correct volume when I hit play, that would be great.
Now I'm going to demonstrate AI P90 human loop. This is the example we have.
Brianna, somehow the audio, at least on my side, is off.
Yes, it's gone off.
It started and then caught.
It started slowly and not really loud, and then went off. Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
And so this is the human in the loop entry operator, which allow user to enter arbitrary data.
Yeah, it's pretty clear now, but can we restart if possible?
Now I'm going to demonstrate AI P90 human in the loop. This is the example we have in the main branch. And we have 4 tests here waiting for user input. And then we'll validate where the user input makes sense. And if so, we'll go to this human in the loop branch operator, which allow user to choose the next branch to run. So let's go to the source code itself. And so this is the human in the loop entry operator, which allow user to enter arbitrary data. You'll need to provide a dictionary to parameter. The key set information here, and user need to input a string. It can be an integer or other things as well, just like the that print. And the next thing is human in the loop operator with step 3 option. Here's that user need to choose one of them, but we also allow user to choose multiple options. So if you want, so you will need to set multiple to true here, and then there you can also set a default timeout and their default values. It's basically always fall back to option 7 because the timeout is 1 second. And then we'll go to this approval operator, where we render all the results we have from the previous test and see where it's a valid input. If not, then we'll not go through. And if so, then we'll go to the human in the loop branch operator, which we can choose with the task we want to run next, which are task 1, 2, 3. This task basically does nothing. Yep, that's trigger the deck. So we also added a required action tab in the browse here. So user will be able to know what are the actions we are waiting for their response. So please choose option to proceed. Yeah. This is the one we set mutable to true. So response, and it's actually a deck. So this one is a task instance level. So once you respond, you cannot change your answer. And there's also a deck run level tab here. So you can, you can find the task instance we need to reply to. So it's test, and that's option is the last one. Okay, option. So now wait for this one. Yeah. So we input test, we chose option 2 and 4 and 6, and turn option 4 back to 7. Everything looks good. Approve. And the branch operator. Yeah, you are now allowed to proceed. So I just use task 2. So 1 and 3 are skipped, and we execute task 2. So next, I can demonstrate how we can use REST API to work with this human in the loop scene. So before that, we'll need the deck run ID here. So these are the basic setup, and we'll do the authentication. And then we try to get all the details. And then we try to get the detail for waiting option. Yeah, so response not yet received. Then let's just respond to it. So if we go back to the UI, you can see this wait for which one? Oh, wait for option. Yeah, this one is now responded as option 2. So we'll skip a few of them. Where for input, where for multiple input. Yeah, I just call this two API all at once. But we'll do reject this time. Yeah, so the following tests are skipped. And if you take a look at the log here, there's actually listing. So this is basically how I set up the notifier. Otherwise, it might be hard for user to notice, hey, they need to respond to the request. So I add a local log notifier. Basically, you can use like email and Slack or Discord, basically all the things we already have in Airflow. But yeah, I don't want to set up all the connection things, so that's why I implement a local log notifier. And this is the template that I provided to the notifier, and I passed this one to the human in the loop operator argument notifier. So the reason why we cannot use the existing callback is because the request generation step happens in execute. So if we want to make sure the request has been inserted into the database, and then we do the notification, we'll need to add an extra logic here. So that's why we need to add an additional notifier argument here. But it also runs pretty much the same way as other Airflow notifier. So yeah, that's pretty much everything we have on the human loop sync.
Awesome. Well, if anyone has questions for Wei Li, ask him in Airflow Slack, I suppose, and he'll get back to you in his time zone. All right, so moving on to our final PR before we head into our presentation on AIP 86. Yarek.
Yeah, let me share my screen, can I? I hope you see it now. I hope you see my screen. I'll be talking about the PR that I worked on for like months. So that's another PR which took quite some time to merge, and it felt a little bit like playing with GitHub all the time in a whack-a-mole game, because different things were happening, and I had to during these few months fix something, resolve some conflicts, rebase, fix another set of things. One thing fixed, the other things broke, etc., etc. So it was like complete whack-a-mole game. And it might seem like it's easy, that it's just update to the new Python 3.13 version. All new releases of Python are released, as you probably know, every October, every year in October. And not everyone knows that it's because the Monty Python show was first aired in October in 1969. That's why October is chosen for release of new Python version, because Monty Python is the origin of the name of Python, not the Python, the snake. First Python 3.10 release, or like update, or changing Airflow to work with Python 3.10 took 5 months. It was merged on 7th of March 2022. 3.11 took 7 months. It was much more involved. We got many more providers. Then 3.10 was pretty fast, because it took only 5 months, because we've learned that. And we've learned how to do it. But Python 3.13, not 14, as I wrote here, I was a little bit too far with Python versions. It took 8 months, and that was the longest I remember, the most difficult and the most complex. First of all, Python 3.13 introduced a lot of breaking changes, and a lot of the dependencies of ours, it took them just 6 months just to support 3.13. So like it was just not possible to install dependencies in 3.13, because there were many more breaking changes. Lots of stuff was removed, small tweaks in how things worked. Batteries were removed, as Python 3.13 developers were talking about that. But also what didn't help was Airflow 3.0, which was released in between, which took most of the time of most of the people, including me. And that caused a lot of continuous rebase and conflicts that I had to solve all the time. And what we ended up with is that not all dependencies are still are already working for 3.13. So we have a few of those dependencies, FAB notoriously, Apache Beam, Kafka, Yandex, YDB. They are still not supporting 3.13, but hopefully that will change in the next few months, as usually in the other migrations. And some small stats in there. 300 files changed in that PR. Plus 2,600 lines, minus 2,000 lines. Merged 3 weeks ago. I just made the screenshot today, but started February 19. So it took quite a bit of time to make it merged. And one of the biggest problem was FAB, because Airflow core code still was using FAB. Even if we went to Airflow 3.0 where we separated it, we actually did, like, there were a lot of dependencies and a lot of tests. a lot of even functionality like retrieving blocks was still using Fab under the hood, and we didn't actually like kind of realize that. Some of the tests were using in core. So what part of this PR and Airflow 3.13 was actually we have now fabless Airflow running and working because 3.13 doesn't have Fab installed, and we know it works because we can test all the tests there. So some of the tests were moved to the Fab provider, some of the tests were removed because they were not needed. Some run conditionally right now when only Fab is installed. Our Kubernetes test dependent on Fab Out Manager, so now they are using simple Out Manager. So lots of those things that were kind of leftovers after Fab separation were actually now completed. So like 3.13 marks the moment, okay, we don't need Fab to run Airflow, which is actually the nicest side effect of the 3.13. I love that actually. Yeah, migration tests depend on Fab still, but that's something that we disabled on Python 3.13. There were some dependencies issues, like some of the dependencies that only work on 3.13 required new version of dependencies like VV8, which required us to switch to HTTPX, and that caused a lot of like ripple effects because I had to actually make some changes in the providers. Pandas and PyArrow, it was literally kind of it was really like a art to find the right version of Pandas and PyArrow working with all our dependencies, the right versions that will work on 3.13 and will not break too much. That was like, so we have now a very kind of narrow set of those that work. Unfortunately for now, Ray has to be also removed from Google Provider because it doesn't work with these combinations of Python, Pandas, PyArrow, gRPC, and whatever dependencies are there. It's like fairly complex matrix of dependencies. Also, we had to change so our default image that we will release in 3.1 will not be Python 3.13, it will be 3.12 because we don't have several dependencies installed, several providers like Fab, for example. So far, the latest was the default, but we cannot use it right now. So in 3.1, unless we manage to fix all the remaining providers and add back Fab, which actually might be possible, we will have 3.12 as the latest, as the default version of image. So 3.13 will not be the default one because it misses several providers that usually were there. So we will only release default image when all the providers that were supposed to be there are actually usable on that version. When it's available in main since 3 weeks, you can use 3.13, and that's really nice because you have all the colored logs and all the fantastic REPL of Python, which you can use in Python 3.13, and lots of kind of developer improvements in Python 3.13, and not including also speed improvements and a number of things that moved Python ahead. So you can use it right now in Breeze. You can use it for development and in UV, as of course. And we will release it in 3.1 so that we didn't want to release in 3.0 patch levels because that could cause another a lot of other problems that we didn't want to mix the problems with like fixing bugs in 3.0 and introducing 3.13 that will introduce another set of bugs. We don't want that. Okay, that's it. Very quick. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Jarek. Any questions for Jarek, feel free to drop them in the chat. And next up, we have a presentation on AIP 86. Dennis, do you prefer to drive or would you like me to?
You can. I thought you were going to, but I can take over if you'd rather.
I absolutely can. Just some people prefer to move their slides on the ground. All right. Let's get started.
Ramit, you want to jump on camera? Hey. All right. So I'm Dennis. This is Ramit. We are working on Airflow AIP 86, which is to add deadline alerts. It will be launched in 3.1, which is coming up, as Jarek mentioned, early next month. He mentioned that in the chat at least. So that's coming up soon. We're going to be giving a quick talk about what that is. So what is deadline alerts? If you remember SLA from Airflow 2, this is the replacement for SLA. It does pretty much what you expect. It allows you to set the time threshold for your DAGs and automatically respond when those thresholds are exceeded. And we're going to go through it a little bit and show you what that looks like. So basically, a deadline alert is made up of 3 different components. You're going to define a reference, which is when you start counting from, an interval, which is how long to wait, which can be positive or negative, and we'll talk about that in a minute, and a callback, which is basically just what you're going to do when that interval lapses or expires. So this is an example of what it looks like. This is a DAG which has a deadline assigned to it. It says if the DAG run isn't finished 1 minute after the DAG run is queued, then execute this callback. It's an async callback, which means it'll get run on the triggerer. Asynchronous callbacks get called on the triggerer, but a synchronous callback gets called on the executor. It's awkward. Yeah, and then see, that slide showed up fine on my computer. Ramit is going to give you a quick walkthrough about that here.
Yep. So
Sorry, I stole your thunder there.
when a new DAG run is created, if there is a deadline on that DAG, it will calculate the expiration and store the deadline in the deadlines table. And then for every scheduler loop, it will check to see if there's any deadlines with a deadline time in the past that have not been marked as handled yet. And then it will call the handler on those deadlines, and the handler will look at the callback. And then if it's sync callback, it will send it to the executor. And if it's an async callback, it will send it to the triggerer. And then once the callbacks are complete, they'll update the deadline table, like they'll update their callback state, and then yeah.
All right. So when it ships to 3.1, we're going to include 3 different references. These are the ones that are going to be built in. It is all done through an interface, which is documented or will be documented, however you want to phrase that. The PR is still pending. So you'll be able to include all your own custom references, and the community will also be adding, well, we will, and the community will be adding future references as well. But customs are still an option. But these are the 3 that we're going to launch with. The DAG run queued time, which is what it sounds like. It starts counting from the minute the DAG run was queued, which could be useful, for example, for monitoring resource constraints. If it takes too long after it was queued, then something might be wrong with your worker pool or something like that. The DAG run logical date, which is when it was scheduled to start, which is distinctly different than when it was queued. So if you have a DAG that is scheduled to run at a certain time every day, you might want to know that it hasn't run today. And the other one is a fixed date time, which is exactly what it sounds like. And that can be useful for things like, I need this to be finished. Like, I don't care how long it takes as long as it's done before my morning meeting, something like that. So those are the 3 we're going to ship with. And then we'll show some examples as well.
So in terms of callback support, there's, as we already mentioned, there's 2 kinds of callbacks: async callback and sync callbacks. And async callbacks run in the triggerer, sync callbacks will run in the executor or worker. In terms of the usage, async, the existing notifiers that do support async will just work in the as async callbacks. This will, at launch, this will include the Slack webhook notifier and probably give it another generic more webhook or HTTP notifier as well. For custom internal custom callbacks, the callback must be in the triggers as trigger sys path, which includes the plugins folder. Since this is in the trigger, this also requires that if you do make a change to a custom callback after the trigger has been started, you will have to restart the trigger. Um, and then in terms of sync callbacks, all the existing notifiers will just work, and custom callbacks can be in the tag bundle, so it doesn't require any restart or anything. In terms of performance, we're expecting the async callbacks to use less resources because there's less overhead, and they're not going to block the thread while the API call is in progress.
Yeah, and I just want to reiterate that last part. The main advantage of the asynchronous is that sync callbacks will hold up your worker. They're going to take a slot on the executor, or however it is that you have it set up to run your tasks on the executor. So that's the advantage of using the async. They might be a little bit more work, but they don't have the potential of freezing up or taking resources away from your actual tasks. So we're going through this pretty quick, but this is that was a pretty quick overview of what's coming at launch with 3.1. We're going to have DAG level deadlines, which we just discussed with those 3 different references. Async callbacks and sync callbacks triggered by the or executed by the triggerer or by the executor, as we discussed. We have a PR up right now, which will convert one of the Slack notifiers to async, or allow the Slack notifier to support async. Right now, there aren't any notifiers that work with async calls. So we're doing one as an example, and then we're going to put a call out to the community to help with adapting the rest of them. And with that change, all of the provider call notifiers will work just straight out of the box, which will be great. And then, like I said, like we showed, you can also do custom callbacks, which is whatever you want it to do. But we're starting with email, Slack, and the generic webhook one, which we think will be able to cover most of the basic needs. For future work, where the one really wanted to get done for launch but had to push back a little bit is the multiple deadlines per DAG. That'll let you do something like tiered escalation. If it's not done in a half hour, let me know. If it's not done in an hour, then let IT know, something like that. I'm looking forward to that. That will be in the next, so after 3.1. Task level deadlines was something we discussed. We may or may not end up doing it. The more we're implementing the deadlines how they are now, the less I see a purpose for task level. But we'll bring that up with the community and see if that's still something we want to do. If you've got a deadline on how long the DAG itself can run, then do you still need a deadline on how long one specific task can run? It seems a bit redundant, but we'll go with whatever the community wants there. And then we want to expand the trigger options. So for example, we want to make it so it can be event-driven or asset-driven. For example, the DAG should finish within an hour of the data set being updated, something like that. That's in the works for future work. And of course, more asynchronous notifiers, which I just mentioned, which will hopefully be a community project. We're looking forward to getting some help on that once we get an example or 2 out there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dennis and Ramit. And if anyone has questions for either of them, please go ahead and drop those in the chat. Really appreciate all the hard work you've been doing on this. Okay, so really quick community spotlight for you all. As many of you know, Airflow Summit is coming up October 7th through 9th. I know plenty of the people on this call are already planning on attending. So if you haven't purchased your ticket yet, highly, highly recommend doing so. It's going to be an incredible event. I wanted to share some of the discount options that are available as a part of Airflow Summit. If you bring a group of 5 or more from your company, you get a 20% discount. Airflow committers get 25% discount, which many of you are on this call now. Women get 22%, as well as non-binary folks, and students get 20% off. So if you or anyone in your community fits this criteria, I definitely recommend sharing this with them. And if you have any questions, just reach out to Mara or Pedro from Software Guru in Airflow Slack, and they'd be happy to walk you through those. I wanted to highlight as well some of the awesome sessions we have coming up at Airflow Summit. So it's sort of meta to have a speaker from GitHub speaking at an open source conference. So I think it'll be a really impressive talk. So really looking forward to this one with Tala. And then we also have a 2-hour keynote on all things Airflow 3 by everyone who worked on the project. They're going to be going through each feature one by one in sort of an Apple style keynote, where each person will have sort of a quick, like 10 to 5 minute speaking slot on the stage, and we'll run through each feature that was worked on. So really excited about that as well. And definitely recommend attending to get a look at that. And then really exciting, this will be the first live cert for DAG authoring for Apache Airflow 3. This workshop is taking place physically in person at Airflow Summit. So definitely recommend sharing that. Definitely recommend attending for that. This is a very, very popular workshop. And again, first in-person chance to take it. So highly, highly, highly recommend sharing that with folks as well for Airflow Summit. Now with that, any questions about Airflow Summit, shoot me or Mara or Pedro or Yarick or Rajesh a note, and we're more than happy to chat with you all about it. As always, if you're new to Town Hall, make sure you're in Airflow Slack. It's where all the action with Airflow happens. Join Meetup as well. If you join your city's meetup and you hit subscribe, you'll be notified of every new event that's happening there. We have meetups coming up in Bangalore, in Berlin, and in San Francisco in the next couple months here, and we plan on adding many more to that. Additionally, subscribe to our monthly newsletter and make sure you join the dev list. So everything that happens in the community, really the center of activity with the project, is the dev list. You can watch all these people sort of hash out the nitty-gritty details of things that are going on. So even if you're a silent observer like me, definitely recommend sort of reading that to stay up to date on the project itself. And I'll drop those links for you all right now before I let you go. 1 second. And as always, if anyone has any questions, make sure you drop us all a note. Anyone who spoke today is in Airflow Slack. I'm in Airflow Slack. And if you want to just get more involved in the project, we're all here to answer your questions as well. So thank you, everyone. Thanks to our presenters today. I know there were a lot of you. Thanks for staying on time and allowing everyone to get through their presentations. And I hope everyone has a great weekend. Thank you all again.
Thanks for coming.